Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of the Windsor Wednesday Show. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show and for being part of the hashtag YouAndProud community. We have three incredibly special guests on today's show. So without further ado, let's meet our panelists. Our first guest is Samantha DesRosiers. Samantha is the program coordinator at the Office of Career Development and Experiential Learning. She graduated from the University of Windsor in 2018 with a Bachelor of Commerce, specialization in business administration with a concentration in human resources, and now is currently pursuing a Master of Education's degree, specializing in education administration. Welcome, Samantha. Our second guest is Musyj. Max was born and raised in Windsor. He currently attends the University of Windsor Law and Politics program. He actively volunteers in his community through the Mayor's Youth Leadership Team, which seeks to empower youth in Windsor. Max is also a member and captain of the University of Windsor Varsity baseball program. He has applied to law schools both in the US and Canada and hopes to focus on litigation and technology. Max is especially interested in how emerging technologies can increase access to justice and legal services. Welcome, Max. And our third and final guest is none other than Jaclyn Ruta. Jaclyn is a fourth-year student at the University of Windsor in the Health and Biomedical Sciences program. She is an active member of the campus community, acting as an undergraduate kinesiology researcher, vice president of international development for students offering support, and the events coordinator for Science Society. Jaclyn has applied her passion for health education by joining the Sparking Vaccine Confidence Research Project in collaboration with We Spark Health Institute, the University of Windsor, and St. Clair College. Upon graduation, Jaclyn hopes to study nursing and continue her work in health education. Welcome to all of our guests, and thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started today, I just want to let anyone in our audience on Facebook or on YouTube know that you can leave us a comment for any of our guests today. So we'll start around one Q&A with Samantha. So what are some of the roles and responsibilities you hold as a program coordinator at the Office of Career Development and Experiential Learning?
Yeah, so some of the roles I hold, one of the main things is preparing everything for the Ignite program. So including the marketing, the outreach to supervisors all over campus to let them know that they can apply for the program, setting up how supervisors are going to apply, and then as well as setting up all of the information students will need to know throughout the program, including their program documents. And I'm also a part of our office, which includes career advisors, and we also host things in conjunction like job fairs. And I'm also responsible for conducting and overseeing our career peer advisors. And I also have to conduct launch sessions, which are required for anyone participating in Ignite.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about what your journey was like to where you are today?
Yeah, so my undergraduate degree in business definitely helped prepare me for this role. I focused my concentration in HR, and I get to kind of do a lot of it. I get to facilitate with the hiring with HR, reviewing payroll when conducting reimbursements, and as well as doing a little bit of the training and engagement via the launch sessions. So I kind of get to do a little piece of everything. And then as well as I was right out of school, I started working at a local recruitment agency, and I also started at the university in the end of 2017 in the office of, in the Center for Executive and Professional Education, and then that led me eventually to here.
That's awesome. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Ignite program later with you, but how important is it and what kind of opportunities are there for students to work at the university during their schooling years?
So it is really important to get involved. We know the labor market has been very tight, and then knowing that you've actually had experience on campus, showing that you were involved during your undergraduate years, especially just being involved on campus. Plus, I worked as a student, and it was one of the highlights of me during my undergraduate degree. So I think having that professional experience definitely adds a little bit of edge to your resume as well.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. working as a student and getting that experience has definitely helped my resume, and I know has helped other students. So thank you for that. We'll move on to Max now. Reading your bio, you're a law and politics student as well as a member of, and captain of the varsity baseball team. How do you balance your academic life with being an athlete?
Well, it definitely gets challenging at times, as anyone's school schedule, it's a lot, especially during exam season. But I honestly think being an athlete at the university on top of going to school has kind of made me not procrastinate. Really, I don't have the time to. So I think it's really helped with kind of my time management and organization in that sense, because I really just don't have time to procrastinate when I'm in season. And I think that a lot of student athletes kind of, once they get into the rhythm of that, they find that it helps their schooling a lot. And kind of helps them prepare for their careers when they have, multiple things going on.
Yeah, I don't really think about that, but what kind of support is there for student athletes at the University of Windsor? I myself am not a student athlete, but I've always wondered, is there any kind of support for you all?
I'm personally not completely aware of anything uniquely, but I do know that there's fantastic academic support systems through Leti and stuff like that, which I've used specifically because I'm in poli-sci. There's a lot of writing, and so I use those services that are fantastic to kind of keep me on track and help use those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And then keeping our athletes well-rounded students is incredibly important. And this is something that I want to ask you. As an athlete, athletes around the world were unable to train during the pandemic, yet many, especially seen during the Olympics, were able to compete successfully. As a member of a team sport, what strategies, if any, were you and the baseball team able to stay in good form and continue developing your skills during this difficult time?
Right. Well, obviously it was hard, especially being a team sport. And even now with the pandemic, we had 2 years of rookie classes coming in. So we had almost over 30 people. So obviously we can't all meet together. But in kind of welcoming those people in, we had group chats and we made sure that any questions were answered. So once the season did start, or once we were able to play, that everyone was on the same page, was doing the same preparation, and that we were ready. But personally, I was able to work out virtually. I kind of followed along YouTube videos and that in my basement. So it wasn't the best time because typically during the winter and that we all work out as a team and you kind of get that sense of team, and that's really important. But luckily we were able to kind of hit it in stride once we were able to play again.
And for our guests who may not know, when is the typical baseball season at the University of Windsor?
So it starts a little bit after right when school starts in the fall, and then it goes all the way until pretty much the end of September or mid-September. And then from there, we pick back up around April and March. Well, we're working out typically in the off season, and then we pick up April, March, and then play for the rest of the school year.
All right, so we're looking forward to the next year's season, and hopefully people who are watching will be able to attend some games. And kind of speaking a little bit about the pandemic, we'll move on to Jaclyn now. As a health and biomedical sciences student, you had to learn about the concepts of public health infectious disease control. How does it feel to live in the reality of a pandemic that for yours was something that we only really saw in textbooks?
So it was definitely very strange, to say the least, although it has really put into perspective how suddenly the world can change. I feel it has humbled not only myself, but the greater community, as it has shown us how quickly we can lose things that we often take for granted. Although the pandemic as a whole has been a very sad tragedy, it has brought many corners of the scientific community together. For example, RNA research that has been ongoing for decades has made considerable progress as a result of the worldwide effort and everyone coming together. And as a part of the scientific community, I was able to appreciate this one positive impact from the pandemic.
Absolutely. And kind of moving on to something that you do, I myself was somebody who took lifeguarding lessons, and I was about to start working as a lifeguard right before the pandemic hit. Obviously, things have changed with that, but you were already working as a lifeguard swim instructor way before that. But something that a lot of people don't know, the lifeguards and swim instructors at the City of Windsor, including yourself, were asked to switch from your guard duties at the pools and things like that to support at mass vaccination clinics. What was your experience assisting on the front lines like?
So I was very nervous at first. However, the experience ended up being one that I'm very grateful to have been given. The first few weeks, I was very anxious because I'd spent nearly a year in quarantine and had to begin interacting with up to 900 people per day sometimes. I was able to get my first dose of the vaccine in April, thankfully, about a month into working there, which greatly eased my anxiety and allowed me to really appreciate the experience. I was able to meet so many wonderful members of the community and share stories with people that I would have otherwise never met. So, for example, we would often hear people share their excitement to finally get the vaccine and see their loved ones again. So it was super heartwarming to be able to help the community reunite. And now seeing restrictions lift and family and friends reuniting as a result of the Windsor Essex vaccination effort has made the experience even more rewarding. I feel that the communication skills and healthcare knowledge that I've also gained through working in the mass vaccination clinic will also be beneficial to me as I enter the healthcare field myself.
That's incredible, Jaclyn. We're really looking forward to that and rooting for you. Someone, I think you mentioned in your bio, you want to become a nurse. So in the future, we hope to see Nurse Jaclyn really thrive with that. That's incredible. And moving back to Samantha, well, we know you, with obviously myself, from the Ignite program. Can you tell us a little bit more about the program? What are some examples of maybe some student job postings? And how do faculty and staff go through the creation of a position?
Yeah, so Ignite is the work-study program. So we are one of the few universities, there's probably about a handful of them, that have actually transitioned from work-study to an experiential learning program. So work study traditionally was funded through students who are on financial assistance. So for example, OSAP. And in 2017, it was rebranded now to a wage subsidy model, meaning that we were able to now allow students all on campus who met our eligibility requirements, which are fairly general, and it allows like majority of students to participate rather than just focusing on student or funding just the job, which were previously done. Now we actually fund the students. Sorry, I think I had a weird internet connection.
I think I caught
which leaders.
I think there just might be a little bit of technical issues on your end, Samantha. I did catch what you were saying there. Ignite has been really incredible for me, particularly my position currently as the host of the Windsor Wednesday Show has allowed me to get real life journalism experience that I never thought would be possible. You know, I possibly maybe want to pursue journalism in the future as a full-time career, and I would have never thought that this would have been possible. So thanks to the Ignite program, I was able to start working on the Windsor Wednesday Show. I've learned how to produce my own show on my own, how to network with people, get guests on, organize, and create my own kind of way of running something like that. So it's really incredible that there are so many opportunities. I think we lost Samantha, but that's okay. Hopefully she'll be able to come back on and join us. But just a little bit more about the Ignite program from my end. Last year, I was working as the Assistant Indigenous Research Developer with the University of Windsor, and that led me to a full-time position at Caldwell First Nation. So there are just so many incredible opportunities for students, and I could not kind of promote the Ignite program anymore. So I personally know, and I chatted to Samantha about this, and hopefully she'll be able to come back on. But I believe positions open back up in the winter, so we'll be able to, or students will be able to apply for those and get some awesome positions and work experience as well. So let's see if we can get Samantha back on. It says device not connected. So we'll move on to Max, and then if Samantha comes back on, we can finish with her. So Max, what made you particularly interested in litigation and technology, and how can emerging technologies increase access to justice and legal services?
Yeah, so I've been really interested in law for a while, and I'm applying to law school in the fall. And so I also like to talk. So I think litigation is definitely something that I'd be interested in. And I'm also a member of the mock trial club at University of Windsor. And so I've had the chance to be a litigator and also like a witness in that. And so I've really taken an interest to that. But specifically as it relates to technology, I think there's like great opportunity, especially right now with emerging like blockchain technologies and also with Web3 and also infrastructure development, that people could have not only like a trust in their documents, but when their documents become digital, that because typically people don't have access to their documents. They don't even have a birthday in a lot of places just because there's no ability to keep records. And so you cannot gain access to services. You can't gain access to a justice system if you don't even have a birthday, right? And so I think that technology and creating the infrastructure to allow for technology will be really important to creating access to justice and allowing the most due process possible for everyone.
Absolutely. And you yourself have applied to law schools both in the US and Canada. What kind of advice would you give to maybe a student who's maybe in their third or fourth year that's interested in going to law school? What advice would you give them about maybe getting involved in your undergrad or preparing for the LSAT?
I would say definitely start early and start earlier than you think. For me, I took the LSAT a couple times, and I think it was kind of, I needed to make a more concerted effort at once as opposed to over a longer period of time. So my advice would be definitely start early, and then also try to figure out more so what you're interested in, and then make sure that the law schools that you're applying to fit those interests or have unique programs or specialize in things that you're interested in. Because I think, and I hope that the picks that I've made are relative to technology in that. And I think that hopefully that'll support my interests as well.
Absolutely. And again, like Jaclyn, we're all rooting for you, Max, and can't wait to see what the future holds for you. And Jaclyn, moving back to you, obviously you're part of the Sparking Vaccine Confidence Research Project. What strategies do you think, as a member of the research project, are the most effective in terms of increasing vaccination rates in the population?
So this project is targeted specifically at students and young adults, as this age category is experiencing a lower vaccination rate. So essentially what we have done is collect data through a survey, which provided us with the most common hesitancies and misconceptions related to the vaccine held by this age group. And this evidence-informed approach has allowed us to be sure that what we are addressing, or that we are addressing the true concerns of students and young adults. So it was really interesting to learn what the concerns are after our team analyzed the data, since my presumptions of what the most common concerns would be were very different from what the data actually revealed. The project is also student-led, which I believe is one of the greatest assets of the project. Not only do students understand other students the best, but other students are also more likely to listen to other students, as we are each other's peers. So for example, the simple ins and outs of social media, what looks aesthetically eye-catching, or what types of material are most likely to be received by people my age, all of these factors will be best understood by students such as myself. I also believe that launching the campaign on social media was very effective for reaching our target audience, because we were able to use accounts such as WeSpark and the UWSA Instagram to share these posts, which already have a large following, and we can be sure that we are reaching our target audience. We also have a webinar coming up that I would like to plug quickly at the end of this answer, that is happening on December 2nd. And anyone that has any questions about the vaccine, or would just like to listen to a conversation between students at the University of Windsor and St. Clair about vaccination, the sign up is available on WeSpark's website and in their Instagram link tree.
Awesome. And it seems like we have Aya in the chat also is saying that this project sounds amazing, and I completely agree with that, Aya. And Jaclyn, just another question for you. This is something that I think a lot of people are concerned with in the community. Do you think we will have to accept that some people will refuse to get the vaccine, or is mandating vaccines the only way out of the pandemic?
So I feel that it is very important to sincerely hear out the hesitancies of those who are refusing to get vaccinated, as they come from a place of genuine concern. A number of the concerns that we have identified come from distrust and misinformation. So it's my hope that it's my hope that this campaign, as well as future efforts, will adequately address these hesitancies and successfully increase confidence in the vaccine. The topic of mandating vaccines is complex, as politics can be very dividing, especially in the context of health. I understand that the decision to mandate vaccines has upset many people in our communities, and I'm sensitive to the fact that many feel they've been left without a choice. On the other hand, as a biomed student, I am also able to understand the scientific evidence that would favor mandating vaccines. So currently, it is my goal as a part of this campaign to inspire confidence in those who are unsure about the vaccine and use this to increase the vaccinated population in Windsor, Essex.
That's incredible, Jaclyn. And I don't know if you maybe want to enter in the comment section. So how can people get involved with the project and maybe research as well?
Yeah, so we do have our webinar coming up on December 2nd, as I mentioned. So if anyone is interested in the project, please come out to the webinar, and myself, as well as many other members of the team and some professors and health experts will be there.
Incredible. Okay, Jaclyn. Well, that's awesome. We also have Biomedical Windsor taking part in such an impactful initiative. Thank you, everyone, for all of your wonderful comments on today's episode. I think we're done for today. I believe Samantha had some technical difficulties today, so hopefully we'll be able to have her on another episode, but that will do. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us on today's episode of the Windsor Wednesday Show. As always, you can find full episodes on Facebook and YouTube. If you enjoyed today's show and are interested in being a guest, you can email myself or studentexperience@uwindsor.ca. Just a reminder that next week is our final episode of the semester. We will be resuming Windsor Wednesday shows back on the second week of January. So stay tuned until then, and we'll hope to see you right here next week on the Windsor Wednesday Show. Thank you to all of our guests, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.